Voters can do anything, you know, they can be crazy.
Hello, I would like to call the Wednesday, October 6th Town Council meeting to order and ask you all to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And could we call the roll, please?
Councilor Alquist.
Here.
Councilor Holbrook. Here. Councilor DeAndrea.
Here.
Councilor Wood.
Here.
Councilor Roy. Here. Councilor Chair Rancourt.
Here. It is now the time on the agenda that we can take public comments. Any of you would like to speak, please go up to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes in which to approach or speak to the council on any matter you so desire. Would anyone like to do so? Go right up if you do.
Hi there. 3 minutes, I'm going to talk super fast. My name's Elisa Boxer, and I live here in Scarborough. Do you need my address?
Yes.
And if so, does this count as part of my 3 minutes? 26 Stony Creek Road.
Okay.
And we've just bought another house in Scarborough on 16 Minuteman, so I own both of them right now. But it really shows how committed I am to the community and how much I love it here.
I say give her 6 minutes then.
I mean, my grandparents lived here. I grew up, but I just love
Okay.
Scarborough. So,
We got the picture.
but I am here, and some of you have responded to my email, but I'm here to talk about a very serious public health issue, and that is CMP installing the smart meters on an involuntary basis. And I've been following this issue in other states where a lot of people have been getting very, very sick after these meters are installed. And by that point, it's obviously too late. And a lot of other states have had great success with cities and towns stepping up and saying, you're not going to do this here, at least stopping the installation until more studies can be done into the safety, into why people are getting so sick. But from what I understand here in Maine, since the Public Utilities Commission has already approved this, we in Scarborough can't block it. But I don't want us to give up. Other towns have found a way. I want us to find a way too. It's not only health concerns. There have been issues in other states with internet security, privacy, hacking, electrical fires. The devices interfere with medical equipment, wireless medical equipment, like insulin pumps and pacemakers. I mean, it's been a nightmare in other states. And CMP, I'm absolutely not anti-industry, but CMP is doing this, not listening to consumers' concerns. And I forwarded you all a Harvard Business Review article that says across the country, utilities, if they're going to do this, they need to meet with consumers. They need to address concerns before they install the meters. And right now they're doing it backwards. We could be getting these meters within a month, is what I'm hearing. And by then, it's going to be too late because of what's happening in other states. So I ask you to please find a way to, and I would love to work with you. I'd love to help you to find a way to stop these meters from being installed in Scarborough. I'd love for us to take the lead here until more studies can be done. There are no studies proving them safe. They don't meet any FCC standards because there actually are no FCC standards for the type of radiation these emit. But again, not just health concerns. There are those other concerns as well. And I just want to wrap up with a quote from the Harvard Business Review article that I forwarded to you this morning. The lesson here for the utility is straight out of Business School 101. If you're changing your relations with customers and spending their money, which CMP is, engage them first. Let customers validate the new benefits themselves. Make them your partners, not your guinea pigs. So right now, CMP is absolutely making us their guinea pigs. CMP is doing its own investigation of the issues, which is obviously not independent. It's not hard to know what they're going to come up with if they've hired the consultant to review their own findings. It's just not a way to inspire consumer confidence. And I'm hoping that Scarborough can really take the lead here and hold CMP accountable for accommodating our concerns before it's too late. I would be so happy to answer any questions, to help in any way that I can, and I gave you all some flyers with just a little bit of background information. I mean, I don't want to inundate you. There is so much information. I have it all. I've been researching this issue for far too long. So please come to me with any questions. And anyone else who's here, if you would like a flyer or if you would like to give me your name, I would be happy to give you more information. Because this is, I mean, our family's health is really, it's worth it. There's nothing more important than that. And that is why I'm here fighting for this. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak this evening? Don't wait. Head right up if you do. No one? All right, I'm going to close this part of the meeting then, and I will entertain a motion on the minutes.
Move approval of the minutes of the September 15th meeting.
Is there a second? Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? None opposed? Thank you. And we do have one adjustment to the agenda. We are going to ask to suspend the rules and take up a matter of some grant proceeds. And that will follow immediately after the next public hearing. Okay? Is that all right with everyone?
No objection.
Thank you. All right. I've already signed the treasurer's warrants, and we can proceed, Tony.
Order 10-75 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and second reading to adopt the proposed new Chapter 11.4, the Town of Scarborough Property Assessed Clean Energy Ordinance, and to authorize the town manager to sign the PACE administrative contract with the Efficiency Being Trust.
Okay, with that, I'm going to open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak on Order 1075 on the Clean Energy PACE program, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes in which to speak. Anyone wish to? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
Move approval of order number 10-75.
Second.
Discussion? Judy, would you like to just briefly explain again what the PACE program is?
The PACE program is a stimulus money program where the state was awarded $20 million to assist residents throughout the state of Maine to convert to clean energy. It is a program whereby it would be administered through the trust at a state level. The town would have no fiduciary responsibility with it. Our major responsibility is education and outreach. It offers up to a $15,000 loan for retrofitting homes for energy efficiency, which could be anything from putting in a new furnace to insulation to solar energy, any of those efforts that a homeowner would wish to do. It requires that they have an energy audit prior to the beginning of the process that identifies that, in fact, that there are energy efficiencies that could occur for them that would be significant enough for them to proceed with that. And then they would be, there is no income limit, there's no barriers as far as who could have these loans. And so this is the ordinance that was presented by the state, which we have to subscribe to in order for our residents in the town of Scarborough to be able to participate in the PACE program. And it's a formality, certainly.
Anyone else? I just wanted to say that I think this is an excellent program. It's going to offer many of our residents who may not have ready accessible cash to make some much-needed improvements in the energy efficiency of their homes, whether it be insulation, new windows, even simple things like extra caulking, those kind of things. So, and the examiner who comes into your home to check your home and tell you what's wrong with it, where you're losing energy, it's really quite a process, and you really learn a lot. You get a really thorough report on on the energy efficiency of your home. So I think a lot of people would benefit from this.
And maybe I could add to that, I was going to wait till the end, but perhaps this is appropriate, that along with this, we are going to be receiving the assistance of Maine Green Energy Alliance, who has aligned themselves with the PACE program. And there will be some meetings throughout the community. The first one is Monday, October 25th, down at the Public Library from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And it's an opportunity for homeowners to take advantage of Efficiency Maine rebates, federal tax credits, energy improvement to the home, as well as looking at the PACE program. So there are a lot of efforts, in addition to the PACE program, that Debbie Atwood, who is the community organizer for our area, will be apprising our residents of the other ways in which they can make their homes more energy efficient, even if they don't choose to take a loan from PACE. They're, helping them understand what rebates are available and how they can take advantage of it.
Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thought through the chair, if it's okay, I know Michael started and Rick here are in the audience, Michael from Efficiency Maine, and I enjoyed a few minutes before our meeting today about some of the background as to the process. And although Judy did an exceptional job in illustrating that, I thought on this cold and rainy night, Mike came all the way from where? Yarmouth, Hollowell, whatever. So, yeah. So if there's anything that Mike might add through the chair, with your permission, Madam?
Certainly.
That we might be able to benefit from would be good.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you very much. And Mike, I will decide later whether to thank you for the opportunity, depending on how this goes. I learned in law school never to make waves if things were going your way, to just leave it alone and not ask any questions. Or I would be happy to answer any questions. I think that Ms. Roy's summary of the program is right on. As folks know, a couple of years ago, we had quite a scare with the price of heating oil in this state, and recognizing that 80% of our homes and businesses in this state are heated with one particular type of fuel that year was very expensive and made us all realize how vulnerable we are to price spikes, regardless of what kind of heating fuel we use. And so probably the number one thing that we can do, as it turned out, is to be making sure that our homes are weather tight, air sealed, all the right insulation, and putting in efficient heating systems as the opportunity presents itself. So with the arrival of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, the stimulus funds from federal government that came in a year ago, Efficiency Maine, whose mission it is to provide statewide energy efficiency programs through all levels of customers, whether it's the residential customer, the municipal customer, the large industrial customers, to work with them. We established a particular program that Ms. Roy summarized, which is to create a revolving loan fund. And that fund will make loans available to homeowners who go through the process of having an audit and then choosing to make energy improvements from the list that is generated by the home energy audit. And those projects are saving people between 25 and 50% in their energy consumption. So if you know what your energy bill was last year for heating, you can imagine the benefit you would have by cutting that 25 to 50%. Those projects are costing in the range of $6,000 to $12,000, and that's a lot of money for anyone. So right now we have some very generous rebates available through our home energy savings program, and if anyone wants to look this up, it's on the internet at efficiencymaine.com. And if you're a homeowner, you would look for the section of the web page called At Home, and you will see there the rebates that are available if you go through this audit process. But now, if you pass the PACE ordinance in your town, then the people in your town will be eligible to also access these loan funds to pay the balance of the cost of the project. So you might get anywhere up to as much as $3,000 in rebate if you had a $10,000 total project. you got the $3,000 rebate, you'd still owe $7,000 to get the project done, and we know that in this economy, that's a lot for anyone. So having these loans available will be a wonderful additional tool in the toolbox, and there are more than a dozen towns that have now adopted this just in the last month. There's a real tidal wave of towns jumping into this, and so we're excited that we'll be able to make these loans available all across the state, starting in a couple of months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Get me back tomorrow morning.
Councilor DeAndrea.
Yes, through the chair, I'd like to, of course, introduce Debbie Atwood, whom I think most of us know. She's here from the Maine Green Energy Alliance, and all the way down from Brunswick, might I add, in the pouring rain.
Okay, they're all coming from that end
So,
of the state.
and Debbie is a community organizer, and she will actually be on the ground here in Scarborough, doing that education portion that Councilor Roy talked about, a very important part that we have to fulfill as part of the contract.
We are thrilled to have a partnership with Maine Green Energy Alliance, and the function you described is vitally important. Anyone who's done a home improvement project of any scale knows that it can be pretty intimidating, not just the financial side, but figuring out how to contact and choose among contractors to do a variety of different tasks on the building. And the folks at Maine Green Energy Alliance have developed a really nice program to hold customers' hands through that whole process, explain any forms that need to be filled out, explain what the pros and cons are of different choices, and help see the whole process through. And it's a terrific additional benefit that the folks in Scarborough will get.
Thank you. Anyone else? Without further ado, then, all those in favor? Opposed? We're now a Pacers town. Okay, and the next item?
Is order number 10-82, is act to accept a grant from Efficiency Maine.
And I'm going to ask that, I think we need to do the order first. Do we? Or do we accept the, we need to do the motion. So could I have a motion?
I would move approval to accept move approval of order number 1082.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor, or discussion? All those in favor? We always like to accept grants. And I'm going to ask Chief Thurlow to go up and accept the award. If you'd like to explain.
Sure, I'll take
What's
one
happening?
second. I could have saved myself a trip back and forth across the room. I'm delighted to have this opportunity tonight to present the town of Scarborough with this award. This is an award from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, the same source of funds that we will be using for the loan program. Also, Efficiency Maine has had a number of competitive solicitations for grants to make energy improvements to commercial and institutional buildings. And one of the proposals we received was from the Scarborough Fire Department, and we are thrilled to have been able to award a part of the funds to the department. So this is a proposal for 3 new energy-efficient gas-fired modulating condensing boilers, which will replace the old boilers that were in the firehouses. My understanding is they were about 20 years old, had seen better days, and hopefully you will find these high-efficiency boilers will reduce your energy costs and the taxpayers' costs for the folks in Scarborough. We've estimated that it's going to save $4,500 a year, and that can't be a bad thing. So I'm really grateful for Fire Chief Thurlow putting this proposal together. I'm very grateful for folks on the Efficiency Maine staff, including Rick Meinking, one of Scarborough's own, to help manage this exact program. And we'll be following through and watching with great interest how the project progresses and how the energy savings accrue to the taxpayers in Scarborough. We really need this kind of leadership across the state to show people what kinds of energy improvements can be made and that they're cost effective. And so having towns lead by example like this is exactly the kind of leadership we're looking for, and really happy to be able to make this work.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, Here's the big funny check.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Nice round figure.
Go, don't spend it all in one place.
Chief Thurlow, could you tell us what are the 3 fire barns that are going to have these new boilers?
Thanks for asking that, because I don't want to take all the credit for this grant, because Keith Mathern, our purchasing agent, actually wrote the grant, so I don't want to steal his thunder. He did a great job. This is actually the second grant that we got through Efficiency Maine. We put some infrared heaters in some bay spaces in 4 of our fire stations, Pleasant Hill, Pine Point, North Scarborough, and Dunston. And these 3 boilers from this most recent grant are the ones from our 3 older stations, Pine Point, Pleasant Hill, and North Scarborough.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you again.
For the public's benefit, I don't know if anybody said the amount of that check. $42,750.
Excellent. Thank you so
Thanks, Mike.
much.
Thanks, Rick.
Yes.
Order number 10-76 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and action on the new request for food handler's license from Christina M. Lewis, doing business as Tina's Lunch, located at 578 U.S. Route 1, and Sunan Chow, doing business as East Atlantic Seafood, located at 10 Snow Canning Road.
I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to address the council, please come to the podium and state your name and address. You have 3 minutes in which to speak. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Move approval of order number 10-76.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. And now we're moving on to a non-action item. We're going to have a report from the school department regarding the windows at the Wentworth School. We've all heard a number of reports about this on the news and in the paper. So we're asking the school board chair to come forward and make an introduction about this issue.
Sure. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. School department wanted to come here tonight and officially notify the council of an issue that we're having at one of our school buildings. As the council knows, Wentworth is our facility that is most critical with regards to repair needs. Since 2006, the board and the council have funded projects totaling more than $1 million in an effort to keep that building safe for our students and staff. One of our most recent projects, an effort to be proactive, has exposed some concerns in the building, some of which we believe need to be repaired this year and were not part of the original list of projects that we were proposed to do. I'd like to introduce Todd Jepson, who's our facilities director, and have him walk you through the basically a timeline of the events that have transpired and go into a little bit more detail about what's happened at Wentworth. When he's done, Anne Mary Dexter, who's the principal at Wentworth, will talk to you about how the issues are affecting the day-to-day learning at Wentworth. And then we'll take questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I began this job in July and immediately began hearing about air quality concerns at the Wentworth School. Documents in my office show air quality testing that has taken place back deep into the 90s, the 1990s. Northeast Test Consultants has been our consultant of choice for all the air quality concerns, and most recently this summer, 225 storm windows were installed over the single-pane galvanized steel-framed windows that were there and extremely energy inefficient. During a visit by Northeast Test Consultants in August, that was really designed to look at further air quality testing for mold, we found some small white particles on the windowsills, and the representative from Northeast Test Consultants recommended that we have that tested for asbestos. We agreed to that decision, had it tested, and the debris tested 1.2% asbestos, the glazing on the exterior of the windows tested at 2.7% asbestos. Anything over 1% asbestos is considered an asbestos-containing material. The room was then cleaned by the licensed professionals from Northeast Test Consultants, and we had air quality tests performed in every room that had windows put on them. All the air quality tests for asbestos came back well within safe occupancy levels. And recommendation, in fact, almost a mandated suggestion from Northeast Test was for us to ask teachers to keep all the windows closed so that the opening and closing vibrational movement wouldn't dislodge further glazing and allow it to come into the room. So we did that, but that led to stiflingly hot rooms because of the first week of school being well into the 90s, and a lack of fresh air coming into the room thereafter, even when the temperatures were lower. The bottom line is it's uncomfortable and very difficult to conduct effective class education in those rooms. Further testing and air quality concerns have arisen from the utility tunnels that exist beneath that school. These tunnels are chaseways for steam piping and other utilities, and they're really about a 4x4 crawl space. Due to the age of the school and the lack of proper drainage, those tunnels have become infiltrated with water and other sand, silt, sediment, and it's created a nice growing environment for mold. So air quality tests within those tunnels have indicated an elevated level of mold, and the concerns were that that mold might be seeping up into the occupied spaces, which is why we conduct regular tests for mold within the classroom spaces, particularly in the areas where the hatches to get into those tunnels are present. Radon is also a concern out of those tunnels, and while the radon levels in the tunnels is elevated, the occupied space levels still remain well below that of the permissible exposure limit for the EPA. We continue to conduct regular testing for mold and get quality results in terms of safe occupancy levels. Recently, the week of September 27th, we had a representative from the state, the Bureau of General Services, conduct school-wide comfort level testing within the school, which really measures carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, temperature, humidity levels, and airborne particulate levels. Those tests also yielded largely satisfactory results and coincided with that of Northeast Test Consulting when they did their comfort level testing as well. However, the state does recommend, due to the inability for us to open the windows safely, they do recommend that we replace the windows as a whole or attempt to somehow abate the glazing from the windows on the exterior so that we can have an additional source of fresh air. Now, each room does have a unit ventilator that brings in fresh air from the outside through a filter, but they are aged units, and they, when the class is filled with 20 to 24 students and a teacher, the CO2 levels do elevate to a level that makes it uncomfortable due to the accumulation of other airborne odors and particles. So they have recommended that we do search out a way to bring in additional fresh air. And Ann Mary Dexter will talk a little bit in a moment about the comfort levels in those classrooms for the teachers and the students. I've researched options for addressing the window issue, and I do believe that the best way to ensure a safe source of fresh air is to replace 1 2-unit window section per classroom or office space with a new one, so that each room has 2 sections that are able to be opened. And that will be a significant undertaking, but it will result in improved air quality conditions for all the rooms that have been impacted by the asbestos glazing, and will create a better learning environment. I've spent countless hours in the past 2 months in that school talking with teachers, and I've spent a lot of time talking with parents, answering emails about the concern for the welfare of their children. it's very evident to me that we must do something. The fact of the matter is the discomfort in the room makes it very difficult to conduct quality learning. Ordering new windows will take 6 to 8 weeks at a minimum, and the removal, which needs to be done by a licensed professional, needs to be carefully coordinated with installation. So time is of the essence if we want a source of fresh air for these classrooms anytime in the near future, and we would like to proceed as quickly as possible. I welcome any questions to me, or I can turn it over to Anne Mary, who
I
can
think
give you more
let's
information.
have the whole presentation, and then we'll have questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unlike Todd, how to empty a house. They're going to the fresh air.
Yeah.
Unlike Todd, who's just been here a short period of time, I've been here for 22 years. I've been part of the facilities and the operations of facilities for quite a while, working with several folks on different things. Back in the 90s, Blue Point, Eight Corners, and Pleasant Hill were a major project that we undertook during the time that I, in my first years here. I've also served on 3 building committees for Wentworth, and our 4th building committee, as you know, did go forward in 2006 but was unsuccessful. So I'm not really here to talk about that. That's part of our history and what we know. I'm really here because I want to draw attention to what I call the human factor. We have a lot of tests out there that give us the data that we need to say that, yes, we can open those doors and we can put children in those classrooms. I don't believe that I'm here to refute any of that. I trust those pieces of information. But I do believe that we sometimes don't think about the perspective of what is happening for the teachers and the children in that day-to-day operation. So that's what I'm here for. I'd like to offer a perspective on behalf of the staff that the town of Scarborough employs and the children of Scarborough who come to that school on a daily basis. As the number of days, we all lived through excruciating heat in the beginning of our year, but as the number of days began to carry forward as they have to this point, I really became increasingly concerned because as other rooms and other portions of our building, as the temperatures began to cool and become more seasonable, if you will, and more comfortable, that was not what was happening for the classrooms on the north, what we call the north wing. And what I became more concerned about as I was watching the process day to day was that not only are the children going home mentioning headaches or just not feeling great today, as typical 9, 10, and 11-year-olds or 8, 9, 10-year-olds might do, but also my concern has been for the staff, our employees who are going home on a regular basis with headaches. The conditions of work make it very difficult when you are feeling bad to actually do the kinds of work and use the kind of energy that you need to be using when you're in a classroom filled with children. I've found this to be a daily occurrence at Wentworth, and it is for several staff, not just 1 or 2. And I'm concerned that teachers in our building are worried about their own well-being when they come to work. Likewise, I'm concerned about the children. The elevated levels of concern that children and parents have, the kinds of discussions that they're having outside of school on the playground, wondering if they're all going to be going to the high school next week, wondering if they're going to the middle school next week, not really sure because they're hearing so many stories within the community. I'm concerned because our children don't seem as focused as they should be. As we get into, again, a cooler temperature within rooms, I would expect that children are now used to being in school again and that they will remain focused and they will be attentive to the lessons and the work that's going on. I'm truly worried that the distraction that's going on of this window situation is taking us away from moving forward with the educational process, with the
practical instructional kinds of techniques and strategies that our teachers should be able to be focusing on, and they're not. These are teachers who stay late, who work extra hours, but instead they're going home because they're not feeling well every day. I see impact to curriculum. If I have to move classrooms because the children and the teachers feel it's too warm, downright hot by the end of a day in a classroom with stagnant air, if I have to move those classrooms to another space in our building, what that means is that other space will no longer be delivering the curriculum or the services needed. So there is an impact for other staff as well as those within the North Wing. As I said, our tests say that we can safely occupy, and indeed we are. But when you put, and I heard Todd refer to this, when you put 23 to 25 little and big people in a room, the air becomes stifling. The air becomes, and again, the word stagnant is the best I can do. They need to be able to open windows. They need to be able to add that fresh air quality to classrooms. The ventilator systems that we have are very old. In the days of Norm Justice, who I worked very closely with for years around all of our building needs, I was told many times that when a particular unit broke down, our very talented staff in terms of maintenance would jerry-rig it because they don't make those parts anymore. So I think it's time for us to pay attention to the quality of the mechanisms that are even in those rooms, and are they really capable of producing the kind of air that we need seasonally. I know you take your job seriously. I take mine seriously as well. That's why I'm really here to remind you tonight about the human factor, the human condition that exists in the school with 300 or so children and 12 adults.
Thank you.
So if there are questions from council, we certainly have a large contingency of school staff and board members that are available to answer questions, but mainly we just wanted to bring this to your attention and just let you know it was something that was on our radar.
I'm going to open it for questions. Councilor Wood?
Thank you. Got a few questions. Appreciate you coming tonight. You speak about the North Wing. Can you give me a better illustration, and maybe others who don't have children in Wentworth at the time, what the North Wing, what does that represent? And is this situation, as far as the asbestos in the windows, limited to the North Wing? And why?
The North Wing is one of the oldest sections of the building. It actually, being a newcomer, we get into debate about the directional flow of that building, but I consider it the East Wing because I don't count the portable section as a wing, but it runs generally north to south, and it has a hallway up the middle and classrooms on both sides. The windows are not confined only to the North Wing. They also run across the front of the building, which I guess is considered the South Wing, and around the corner, beginning up the west side of the building, to the point where the newer 1974 section was added on. So it really kind of goes around four sides of the building in its various wings.
So it isn't literally, can
Actually,
I continue
Mike,
and hold the floor?
No, I
or-
just wanted to tell you that it's actually the old junior high part of the building is what they're talking about. So I don't know directions north or south, but it is actually the original building as was built in the early 60s.
Okay.
It's the side that's by the tennis
I think that should you visit us again, maybe for folks that didn't go to school at Wentworth, like myself, maybe a plan view would be helpful. But then again, likely not necessary to the end point, which I'll get to. So it's not really limited to the North Wing. And how many windows are we talking about? It must be dozens?
Well, there's 225 windows that received storm windows. Our suggestion in terms of providing a fresh air source is to just replace there's 6 windows in each classroom, and they're in just rows. The whole wall is
I understand,
windows.
but your suggestion was to replace a bank, one
Yeah,
single... maybe-
one window section per classroom for a total of 28 windows.
Which I think few people would argue is simply a stopgap measure to
Correct,
get us hopefully to some other place.
correct.
When was, again, maybe I missed it in your presentation, but when was this window and the asbestos issue first discovered? Because, we had a couple dates going back and forth, but
Yeah.
it certainly was after 2006, was it not?
Oh, yes. The storm windows were installed just this past summer in August, late July and early August. And the sort of discovery of the asbestos came after the windows were installed, I want to say very early August.
So there really was no way to predict this any earlier than
Correct.
that. And of course, it's followed many months of discomfort and testing to confirm early suspicions that there was an issue.
Correct.
Well, that's it for questions, and I'll have a comment later, but I
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Council DeAndrea.
I guess I'm just curious as to if it takes 6 to 8 weeks for the windows to arrive, what's the install time? So in other words, that human factor, how long will the classroom, the children and the teacher be displaced from the classroom while those windows get installed?
The options we're thinking about is if we could time it appropriately, we could have the windows installed during a vacation, Christmas or Thanksgiving perhaps, but ultimately the contractors have agreed that they would do the work over the weekend, so you do several classrooms over a weekend. So class leaves on Friday, returns on Monday with new window, and then we just do that over a series of weekends. So to answer your question directly, I'm guessing if we could do it in a solid chunk of time, it would be a week to 10 days to do the removal and the installation.
Manager Hall has a
Just
question.
a question of timing. As I understand it, there'll be a specific proposal. This proposal to replace 28 windows will be made to the school board tomorrow evening.
Correct. We'll be presenting the proposal with the bids we've received from the contractors, and the school board will vote on that tomorrow night. And I understand the next meeting for the town council is 2 weeks from now.
That's really my point. In the
2 weeks of waiting.
point of urgency here, 2 weeks will pass before we can even order them. So I'm not suggesting what to do, but I'm just observing that time is of the essence. Do you
Correct.
have any sense of cost estimate of these replacement windows?
In the neighborhood of $150,000.
And I
135
can't answer
to-
the question, but do you have any ready source of funding for that, or is that a
No.
request of the town council?
That would be a request we'd be making as additional funding required.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just wanted to state that when this began to become an issue, Manager Hall and I requested a meeting with the chair of the school board and the superintendent, and Todd as well, and some others were also in attendance. And one of the things we did learn was, if we should decide on this option, because the storm windows are encapsulating the problem in all of the other non-operational windows, the asbestos would be encapsulated and would not continue to cause a problem. It only will continue to cause a problem if any of the windows are operated at this point as they currently exist.
That's correct. And if we were to put in a new window, we would most likely seal the old ones shut so that you couldn't operate them anymore.
Council DeAndrea.
I guess my question would be, in sealing the windows shut, does that pose a problem when it would come to,
Fire safety.
fire safety, exactly?
The windows currently on there, I don't believe are qualified as egress, and the ones that we would put in would. The size of the openable, if that's a word, section would qualify for egress window.
Did I see your hand up, Council Roy?
She beat me to the question.
Okay. Anybody down at this end have a question?
I just have a summary comment when the time is right.
Okay. Did you have anything more you guys wanted to offer?
so just...
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Councilor Wood?
Okay, just to kind of summarize here, it seems to me that I certainly am not alone in this council that recognizes that we have to do something, and we have to do something fast. It's not something that appears to be at anyone's feet for blame. It was discovered. Hopefully, there's a longer-term solution. This is something that needs immediate attention to give proper comfort and health in an environment that's conducive to learning. 28 windows is what I heard, a week to 10 days for dismantle, install. I hear the school board will be taking up this item tomorrow. Time is of the essence. I would think that this council can show its interest and support for getting this problem fixed as soon as possible by scheduling a special meeting so that we can actually act on the school board's request, depending how you vote tomorrow. I'm thinking you'll vote in favor sooner than even 2 weeks from tonight. So those are my comments.
That
Thank
would
you.
definitely be done. Did I see your hand again, Councilor?
Yeah, I would concur with what Mike said. I think, it's an issue that needs to be addressed. Kind of brings me back to Bessie and the Big A many years ago. I mean, thinking about that. But it certainly has to be addressed, and sooner rather than later. And I would concur that I would be willing a special meeting to expedite it as fast as possible.
Any other comments at this end? Councilor Holbrook?
I just want to recap on some of the things that I was hearing this evening, which are, old windows, an old failing steam pipe system, old vents you can't get parts for, windows that are, I'm assuming, are quite old by the sounds of it.
Yes.
I guess, nobody, I don't think, is going to sit here and say, don't replace some windows, our kids need air. But I have to say, I'm a little disgusted that somebody hasn't sat down and said, there is general maintenance and replacement on any building that is ever done, and you know that it's got to happen. You know at some point, whether it's a house or a commercial building or a school, that you have things that over time just need to be replaced, period, end of story. And I find it hard to believe there'll be anybody here that won't vote for an approval to get some windows to have some air. I am a parent of a Wentworth student. I was disgusted that school was not canceled on those 90-degree days. And the other thing I want to just kind of say as a comment, again, would really like to see a full proposal of any of the repairs that need to be made down there. This school has had a long time coming. And I want to see these proposals long before we see proposals for other things like laptops and fun toys. The important stuff needs to be done first. The repairs need to be done first. And that's it from me.
Thank you. Anybody else? I just want to say that I too realize that this is something that needs to be dealt with quickly rather than at our leisure. And I think many of us who've worked on these buildings in town, I've sat on many of these committees with Anne Mary, know that this has been a building that we have pointed to for a number of years. I don't think, the asbestos around the windows is a surprise, but the condition of the building should surprise no one. It's our only building in town, for example, that has no sprinkler system. It is a building, I don't mean to age myself, but I was the first class to populate that building that we're talking about tonight as an 8th grader. So that gives you some idea of the technology that is still existing in that building. Those windows have never been changed. Those ventilators have never been changed. And the building has been, I guess what you'd call, remodeled into different grades than it was ever intended for. So we do know that that's a problem, and I think if nothing else, this certainly gives impetus to the new building committee that the school board is proposing. We have had a couple of our members be willing to sit on, and that I think plans need to come forward either for complete refurbishment of that school or a new school to be built. So I think time is of the essence, before more things go wrong that we need to fix. So we're not taking any action tonight. I think you've heard from most of us our feelings, and we'll be awaiting your action tomorrow night, and it is possible that we can certainly call a special meeting to act on this. So we thank you for the presentation. Yes. It is, I beg your pardon? It's not an agenda item, it's a non-action item, so,
Madam Chair, I'd be willing to make a motion to suspend the rules to hear from the gentleman.
sure, come right up. Assuming there's no opposition.
No objection.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Good evening. My name is Paul Kozel. I reside at 4 Lillian Way here in Scarborough. I'm here this evening to speak about the window issue at the Wentworth School and to echo what I think a lot of other people in this room have been thinking, have been participating in. Let me start by saying that, Councilwoman Holbrook, I agree with you on one of your statements, and that until very recently, I feel the communication regarding this window issue has been poorly handled. I feel that's changed at this point in time. In its simplest form, at least from my perspective, there are two problems with the windows at Wentworth at this point. I don't want it to get lost with the bigger issues associated with that school. First, there's asbestos in the glazing in and around those windows. And number two, as a result of that asbestos, those windows can't be opened and curtains have to be drawn through the day. And I say this just as a general statement. If anyone thinks that this is an overreaction as to what that school is like, I invite you to go sit in Mr. Reichel's class, my daughter's class, who's next room to Mr. Reichel. We'll go down to Mrs. Dexter's school and sit through that. On the first day of school, my daughter went on a bus, very excited and energetic to start her 4th grade. She was looking forward to school and looking forward to seeing her teacher again. When she came home that afternoon, she was exhausted, overheated, and sick. She had a headache, she threw up, and she sat in my lap and cried. Because her condition was only slightly better the next day, my wife and I decided to keep her home from school. My daughter is a tough kid. She eats well, she gets plenty of sleep. Her condition is not the result of first-day jitters. Her condition was a result of that school and the problems with the air. I say that to each of you, because Mrs. Dexter hit a good point, the human factor. I speak about the child factor of my daughter. I appeared before the school board at their very next meeting, and they can probably each attest that I communicated both my anger and my disappointment at the way that this was communicated to us as parents. And since then, things have been heard. Mr. Jepson, who's present tonight, has done a very good job and has shared a lot of his proposals concerning, or I should say proposals, the information he has regarding solving this problem. At this point, immediate action is needed. There's no other way to put it. This problem cannot be put off. Another member of the audience here tonight and I are part owners of a construction company. We don't work on buildings, we do bridges and roads and other heavy highway projects. But we understand this problem and it needs to be resolved. I say this to the town council, I say this to the school board, and I say this to the superintendent's office. You need to solve this problem. You cannot wait any longer. I don't want this issue to be clouded with other problems associated with that school. We need to triage this issue. Do not think that this problem can wait until spring or some later date to be solved. It can't. Do not think that this problem can wait until it gets cooler out so that the windows don't have to be open. It won't work. This problem is impacting my daughter and is impacting her education, is impacting her health. You all have a responsibility to address this problem. I'm glad to hear that everyone is taking it appropriately. But part of taking that action appropriately is to act accordingly and to act immediately. With this being said, I request you accept, when it comes before you, Mr. Jepson's recommendations to take appropriate action, and you take action now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we shall now move on to
Thank you, Madam Chair.
new business.
Under new business is order number 10-77, the first reading and schedule a public hearing and second reading on proposed amendments to Chapter 1301, the General Assistance Ordinance, pursuant to Title 22 of the Maine Revised Statute, subsection 43054.
You want to explain this a bit, or
Well, quite simply,
just go ahead with the motion? Mike's ready, so go
I'm ready
ahead,
for a
Mike.
motion. All right, I move approval of order number 10-77.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And now, Tom, if you'd like to just briefly explain this.
quite simply, this order brings up our general assistant maximums to the state standards, which we're required to do, but nevertheless, it is a requirement that our local ordinance is changed to reflect these increases.
And basically, we do this every year.
Yes.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Next item.
Order number 10-78 is a first reading and refer to the planning board the proposed amendment to the Town of Scarborough official GIS zoning map to change the zoning at 20 Elmwood Ave from residential district 2 to business office research district.
And I am entertaining a motion.
I'll move approval, Madam Chair, of order number 10-78.
Second it.
And could we have an explanation of this?
Certainly, this is a SEDCO proposal, and Mr. Rosenfeld is here this evening, if you're
Thank you.
willing to listen to him.
Thank you. I guess for the record, my name's Harvey Rosenfeld, and I'm the President and Executive Director of the Scarborough Economic Development Corporation. As I said in my memo to you, several weeks ago, I got a call from a commercial broker telling me that they were about to list the property at 20 Elmwood Avenue. This is a property, I'll try this. This property, here is Route 1. Here's the Scarborough Connector, here's Route 1, and this is Greenacre Lane, Scarborough Veterinary Clinic.
Harvey, you really do need to take that mic. It should move.
Will this work?
I
Is it
hope
on?
it's on. Can you tell
the
the
bottom.
bottom?
No, I'm not sure. But
It's already
I can say right here.
Say something in it.
Well, I think everyone knows where the property is. This property has been vacant for as long as I've been in Scarborough, and because it's a very visible property and has access to Route 1, has been of interest to development for an awfully long time. The Department of Transportation for the state of Maine owns the property and has basically rebuffed all the offers to buy it or interest in buying it up until now. And as everyone knows, the state needs money. And if you own 6 acres on Route 1, it's a pretty attractive property. I think when the CPIC committee looked at Route 1 and creating the business office and research zone, this sort of fell through the cracks because it was never for sale. And in fact, the word from DOT was that they weren't ever going to sell it. So looking at it after the realtor called me, we looked at the R2 zoning, and Dan Bacon, the town planner, and I went over it very carefully. And because of its location with the connector right there, and Route 1 over here and a TVC zone there, felt it really didn't fit the definition of R2, which is a low-density residential area, and really did fit in the BOR zone. Now, the BOR zone was a zone created to encourage development such as the Maine Med
Medical.
Research Facility,
Yeah.
sorry, and all of that, the Foundation for Blood Research, things that are happening at Elevation, the Elevation Project, which used to be Conica, and to encourage more business, high-end business research and medical development in there. The BOR zone runs from the South Portland line on both sides of Route 1 to up to Hillcrest Avenue. At Hillcrest Avenue, it becomes Town and Village Center. It really does fit in with the BOR zone, and the reason for suggesting it now, when this came up, there was no specific interest in it. Now there has been. Obviously, 6 acres with this kind of visibility has generated interest. I felt, and Dan felt, and the town manager felt that we should be proactive in moving forward with this so that we're ready when quality development comes in, that we can accommodate it and keep that area of town in the business, office, and research zone. So tonight, asking you to do the first reading and recommend this to the planning board to consider the zone change. I don't want to take up more of your time. I'll be happy to answer questions.
We have a motion, so does anyone have any questions of Harvey?
Jessica does. I'll follow.
Councilor Holbrook.
I just had one question about, because I'm still grappling with what each thing allows. Can you just kind of give me a summarization of the town and village center as far as what kind of business that would allow?
That's the one thing I didn't bring with me, unfortunately, but the Town and Village Center is small retail development, also residential development, and really trying to bring some residential development back towards Route 1 and allow smaller retail development as well. A lot of Route 1 used to be the B2 zone, which was the most liberal business zone that we had. Through the CPIC process, we've started looking at what are more practical ways of developing Route 1. And the Town and Village Center is really a mixed-use, low-density, not low-density, but low-impact retail development, residential development. I think Mike probably knows more about it than I do because he's on that committee. I don't know if it's up to me to ask him.
Well, through the chair, I could just add that the idea behind TVC is that kind of, like Harvey spoke to, bringing buildings closer to the street, which tends to calm traffic, the sidewalk, the walkability, the live up, down, work up on top, come down and go to your shop, et cetera, type of scenario. Some of the designs that have come online in the last couple of years, although not completed certainly, is like the coffee shop across the street. Walgreens in many ways emulated that illustration of a town and village center. Whether you know it or not, Walmart's only one floor interior, but it's made to give the appearance of what we're trying to achieve at the TVC.
Actually, the coffee shop across the street, that whole development is a really good example of TVC. Originally, that was intended to have shops, offices, and residences on the second floor of the back building, and that's really the town and village center concept. I forgot.
It will be. Sooner or later, we'll get there.
If I might, through the chair.
Did you have anything more, Councilor Holbrook?
I was just, I'm curious to why you would recommend the BOR zone compared to the TVC for that 6-acre parcel.
Really because of its position located with the existing BOR zone. From a planning perspective, and I'm not a planner, that's why I worked with the planner on this, this makes a very clean area for the same type of development. It doesn't access Route 1, it would access from here, but goes more with BOR, we felt, which is likely to generate interest in medical, biomedical, more high-tech development than the TVC, which lends itself more to small retail development. So the feeling was it really fit better with this from a long-term planning perspective than the TVC.
Councilor Roy?
I think one other point, because this is in my backyard.
But I'm thinking
Okay, and
six-story.
if you made it TVC, there would be much more disruption to the neighborhood, because that parcel, originally, DOT said, we'll leave that parcel as a buffer between the connector and this residential area, and that's what people who bought in the area in '83 were told by their realtor. So, but, so looking at it, business office research, I think it lends itself better where it does abut residential area than to have TVC where you've got retail going on with cars in and out, potentially 24/7, as opposed to a business office research where you've got daytime activity and that's it, and no weekends and things.
And the BOR zone would also require a buffer here on Green Acre Lane and a buffer on Elmwood Avenue as well as part of the development.
Now, I have a question. I might be hallucinating, but on that end of Elmwood, isn't there a house down there on the other side of the road?
There are
Yeah,
three houses
there are three.
in here.
So we need to make sure that they're on board with this.
Well, one of the things and one of the reasons we're bringing this to you now is this property is for sale, and it will sell, and it will become something. And the town has the opportunity to control what it's going to become. So I just want to, it's not for sale any longer. It is for sale, and something will happen there.
But it is right now R2, so that means it's residential two
Yes.
residences per acre, is that?
Right.
2
am I
units
right?
per acre.
That's what I thought, 2 units per acre. So at a 6-acre lot, it could be 6 houses. Councilor Wood and then Councilor Roy,
Thanks. And
and then Councilor DeAndrea, sorry.
it's important also to realize that, to the point that the chair's making, is that R2, it's called residential, but development in an R2 is not limited to residential in the way that most of us think of residential. And I'm holding here in our documents what is allowed in R2. So envision that property being sold, it's one big piece of property under a single ownership. So therefore, a buyer of that property could, without any action from this council, permitted uses would be a place of worship, a school, a library, a museum, a golf course, a group day care home, nursery school, daycare facility. This is all allowable in the R2 without any special consideration, hospices, et cetera. So really, don't think of R2 as single-family homes with nice manicured lawns. It can be much more than that. So when I would just ask my fellow councilors, when you deliberate further on this, you consider what is allowed in the R2 and what is allowed in the BOR, and then envision whether you think one or the other is the best use of that piece of property in the entirety, not just for the town of Scarborough and its distribution of residential versus commercial, but, envision what it might be like for the residents in that area. So I think you'll support this all the way to the end if you make that comparison.
Yeah, I'm not making a decision, I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I've walked that parcel, and the upland part of it is what abuts the connector. When you there's a whole pathway where you can walk in. As you go down Green Acres and as you go down Elmwood, that's pretty much wetland on that side. The residents have been active in this already, and one resident that lives on Elmwood has circulated a petition, which certainly will be to no avail against DOT. And, the options, certainly, I would support the option of the BOR over the residential, or R2, or any other of those other things that could go there. But I think, it would lend itself to a medical building that would be visible, a research building that would be visible to the connector, but, hopefully with some working with the neighbors, buffered.
Anybody else? Councilor DeAndrea.
Thanks. There are some major differences, I think, between the R2 and the BOR from what I see here. Certainly, the area that's covered by the building is much larger in a BOR. The height of the buildings can go up to 6 or 7 stories in a BOR. You can add things like mini warehouses and storage facilities. Heavy equipment and specialized motor vehicle sales could go in there. You could put a hotel in there.
After she finishes, then Harvey.
So I really hesitate about this for a couple of reasons. One is I know that there were a lot of people who were not real happy with the addition of the facility that was going to go in there that was really similar to Piper Shores. It was going to be about the same size, about the same function as Piper Shores. I think in the back of Elmwood at one point, there was at least some talk about that, and it got, I think, fairly close. But people weren't happy about that. And I sort of fear more development back in there. That's a neighborhood. As I was out campaigning a couple of years ago, I spoke to a lot of people in those neighborhoods, and they don't want more businesses back in there. And if that lot were to sell, I'd rather see it sold and kept to small use, rather than larger use that it appears that the BOR would give to it.
I do.
Thank you. I think Harvey has a comment he'd like to make.
Well, I just want to clear up one of the things. Motor vehicle automobile sales, high technology facilities, motor vehicles, hotels and motels, sale and rental of heavy equipment, mini warehouse and storage, and contractor offices are only allowed on the sites where they exist today as of September 1st, 2007. Why that was done by the CPIC committee was to not make the existing businesses, Scarborough, Volvo, the non-conforming. So that cannot occur on this site under the current zoning. What can occur on that site, just so everyone knows, you can have medical diagnostic facilities, places of worship, municipal buildings, non-municipal government buildings, in schools, non-residential institutional uses, I'm not sure I could define that, business and professional offices, financial, insurance, and real estate offices, personal service establishments, small retail, restaurants without drive-throughs, funeral homes, and health clubs. Everything else would have to go on the sites where they currently exist. And an example of that is the Heister building, which is empty right now, can have another heavy equipment dealer in there because it was in existence as of this date in 2007. I just wanted to clear that up. Those uses I just mentioned are limited there. And I guess one thing I didn't say, and one of the reasons we're asking to move forward on this, is the comprehensive plan process in the CPIC committee has been very proactive looking ahead, and that's part of the reason when the opportunity, before there is a use that the community doesn't want comes in, the community should be ready to handle what they want. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not trying to tell you what that is, but from a planning point of view and economic development point of view, these uses seem to fit better. Sorry.
Thank you. And I realize this is the first reading and that the planning board would need to have its own and have a public hearing. But I do want to just go on the record for my concern about bordering a residential neighborhood with a 6 or 7 story building. I would have real issues with that. Ronnie and Jessica, did you both have a comment? Ron?
Clarify this for me, did the CPIC committee look at this, and they did not look at this, right?
Go ahead.
Through the
yeah.
chair,
The chair?
I don't specifically recall looking at this exact parcel. I think that it's likely that really, Maine Medical Center came first. The Blood Research Center was already there. There was already a small operation going on relating to, I think, healthcare today. So when these types of businesses took hold, and we know about the redevelopment of the Humpty Dumpty area, CPIC looked at creating a zone that captured the essence of what appeared to be developing all on its own. And like Harvey spoke to, this area had been zoned residential 2 right along, and there was no real reason to move on the other side of Route 1 because we never foresaw the DOT considering putting up the property for any other consideration than what it already exists today.
Is the CPIC committee still in existence?
It's in existence and it's thriving. Thank you.
So my point is, does it make sense to send this back to the CPIC committee and get their recommendation on this? I mean, it's kind of the things that they deal with, and I guess I would feel more comfortable if they did that.
I don't speak for the committee as a whole, but I certainly believe that they could easily put the other things that are on their agenda aside. This would probably not take up too much time. If you're more comfortable, council's more comfortable hearing a more formal report and assessment from CPIC before it's considered by the planning board, then I don't see any issue with that.
Well, Mike, my point is that that's a pretty big jump in my world from, an R2 to a BOR zone, and I just, something, and I understand that Council Roy doesn't have an issue with it, but I still would feel better, I guess, if the CPIC committee, we put them into existence for a reason, and I would hope that they would look at that and give us a recommendation. I'd feel more comfortable about that anyway.
Well, CPIC has always been very thankful for the consideration it's been given by the town council, and for the town council's correct, I believe, faith and confidence it's put in our different committees and boards such as CPIC and the planning board to evaluate these kinds of things, so we won't have to overburden councils with those kinds of issues.
That's why I want
They're very
CPIC to look
complicated.
at it, so.
Counselor DeAndrea?
Yes, thank you, Harvey, for clarifying for that. I did not read the end of those sentences.
Well, quite frankly, I didn't understand it either until a couple of weeks ago when I checked into it.
Well, good, I don't feel so alone then. But I do agree with the chair in that and I think Councilor Elquist said it, this is a huge jump from an R2 to a BOR in a otherwise fairly quiet neighborhood with already one business in it, and that's the hospice, up a little bit further. And again, I think we need to really take into account that whole neighborhood. I know that was something that those neighbors felt like they weren't listened to the last time that it was rezoned with the contract zone for the hospice back there. I want to make sure that that neighborhood gets listened to. I think it's important. They moved there with an understanding that it would be a quiet neighborhood.
Counselor Alquist?
Can I make a motion or amendment?
Well, I was just,
Refer to the CPIC committee?
I was just going to ask,
Does anybody have an objection?
I was just going to ask Manager Hall, his opinion, whether it would do better to go to the planning board or to the CPIC for review.
Well, your process would require it go to the planning board and for them to provide advisory opinion. Certainly, we could bring it to CPIC in concert with that. The one advantage of passing it this evening, it is held over for public hearing, and understandably, the council will be interested in the residents' comments. I am aware that residents have been aware of this for some weeks or a month. They're not blind to the issue, if you will. I expect they'll be coming out and telling you what's on their mind for sure. It's not as if they're not aware that there's something going on. So one option is for you to pass it in first reading, and we can certainly kick it to the CPIC committee and have recommendation back to you before public hearing.
Would that make sense?
Yep, that's what I'd like to do. I don't know about anybody else.
Okay, so we'll sort of have a dual path. Anybody else want to make, Counselor Holbrook?
Just had one question. If I'm correct in your cover letter that there's an interested party,
Yes, there are at least one and possibly more right
do
now.
you know if any of the persons that are interested have an intent of a six-story building? I mean, is that their...
Well, one thing to keep in mind, too, as Council Roy mentioned, there are wetlands on the site, and it would be very hard to handle the parking for a six-story building. Now, there's no guarantee, but as you went up, you would obviously need more parking, you'd need more access and all of that. Though, even though it's a 6-acre parcel, there are going to be limitations to development on it because this is Scarborough and it is wet, and that's always an issue on any piece of property. I would anticipate, and again, there's no guarantees, probably a 2-story building would be at a certain, I don't know what the footprint would be. No one's done the engineering and design and really delineated the wetlands, but everyone who lives there has told me it's wet. And, but, again, that would all be done as part of the design, it would go to the planning board, and the planning board would demand parking and stormwater control and all of those things. But Counselor DeAndrea is right. I mean, the zoning does allow that. You have to be able to fit it on the property.
Thank you. And Councilor Wood, you had your hand up again.
Yeah, thank you. Just a point of clarification, there's no contract zone in that area that houses the hospice. It's part of a zone that allows for hospice. I served on the planning board and had a room full of people, and we worked very hard and deliberated very long and tirelessly and listened to everybody. And the people I talked to are proud that Scarborough houses such a facility, let alone the number of families that have made use of that facility. So, let's keep our facts straight here. This process, no matter which way you want to go, will get the full attention of any group that this town has ready to listen to it, including all the citizens that want to come here and make their intentions known, okay? Just like everyone before it. So I look forward to talking about this issue some more. And really, there's a lot to absorb. Zoning and what is allowed in it and how a piece of property can be developed is not something you can read, certainly just on a small brief. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and it's not easy for anybody. So let's leave it to folks that tend to do it more often than not.
Right, and I think the contract zone in that neighborhood is the Mercedes dealership.
That's right
Not-
there.
which
See
is
where
not-
See where
which
Tango
is not
Victor
in that
Charlie is?
area.
That's
Right.
where Mercedes-Benz is.
Right, so
All right, the
it's
hospice
not
is up there.
correct.
And I guess, too, I want to clarify that when it was the senior housing, I did not get the feeling that the citizens said that they didn't feel listened to. I think that they had input all the way along, until that company backed out, and I think that they were listened to, and there were a lot of changes made in the plan until finances being what they may, they pulled that project. But, certainly, there's going to be ample opportunity for public input all the way along.
Right, Counselor Alquist.
Yeah, as I remember, some people weren't going to be happy unless we kept it a vacant field or whatever, and that's reality, and that's the way people feel about it. But I just wanted to make an amendment, if we could, that we could add not only the planning board to the CPIC committee at the same time. And
Second that.
Discussion of the amendment? Counselor DeAndrea.
Well, and I'm not opposed to the amendment. I think it's a good idea. I might add that if there are significant wetlands back there, that we might have the Conservation Commission look it over as well.
Well, they do anyway.
Yeah.
They do anyway, Karen.
The Conservation Commission?
They would look at that through the process that we're going through.
So I'm asking to add
Yeah.
it to the...
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of the amendment to use the dual path to planning board and CPIC? All those in favor? I think I saw everybody's hand. Okay, and we don't have a date certain on this I don't believe we have a date certain for this to come back, so we can give both entities plenty of time to do it.
Madam Chair, if I would, I think CPIC meets next on the 22nd of October, if that gives you any
Thank you.
idea as to how soon we can.
And I'm not sure, the planning board meets the 1st and 3rd, so it's probably right around that same time. And whether this would make it to their next agenda anyway, I don't know.
No. The next meeting is
I'm certain it would not appear back before council before your first meeting in November at the earliest, most likely your second meeting in November.
Okay. All right, did I have one more comment from you, Councilor?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I thought we were going to fit the Conservation Commission into that as well.
Are you making that as a formal
Was that part of the
amendment?
amendment?
No,
I'm sorry.
it wasn't.
No, but we can make it now.
Okay.
Do you wish to make that?
I would like to do that.
Is there a second for that? Discussion? All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? It fails because we have a tie. And so now we're going to move on to the amendment, the main amendment, as amended.
Same motion.
Main motion, sorry, as amended.
It's only
All
8:30.
those in favor? Opposed? Okay. So we will pass this on to the Conservation Commission. No, I'm sorry.
CPIC,
There's just been too many things, to planning board and the CPIC committee.
and we'll keep you.
Madam Chair, I just want to, real quick, while Harvey's up there, I just want to make a very quick comment that I saw that Conica, what we often refer to as Conica, has a new word now, a new descriptor, which is
The Elevation Center.
Elevation Center.
Yes.
Was recognized by Setco as Development or Project of the Year.
Project of the Year.
And it was this council's action way back, that supported the TIF, that made that beautiful project a reality. So
That's right.
you want to drive by and see, the results of your votes. There you go.
And I have to say, Mike, just to fill you in, that from a historical perspective, that the name Elevation Center, it comes from the old ice cream place that used to be
Oh,
there.
really? I didn't-
Called Elevation Farms.
Excellent.
Oh, it was Stratford Farm.
Oh,
Excellent.
Stratford, Elevation Farms was up there.
Elevation
Well,
Farm.
the gentleman who's developing Conica, Bob Goudreau, also did the old Humpty Dumpty building.
Yes, he did.
And exceptional work every time.
Right. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. I think we've hit that one. Okay.
10-79 is the first reading and schedule a public hearing to adopt the proposed new Chapter 1018, Town of Scarborough Secondhand Dealer Ordinance.
Do you want to describe this, Tom?
I'll introduce it, perhaps.
Or does the ordinance committee wish to?
I'm happy to let Tom take it.
This matter was initially connected to the pawnbroker ordinance. Through a lot of discussion at the ordinance committee level, this piece was broken out, and as you know, the pawnbroker ordinance did come forward and has been in place for nearly 6 months, as I recall. Yet the police department continued to be interested in finding some way to further regulate or be involved in these secondhand dealer transactions. The ordinance committee did try to wrestle with the issue, and ultimately, there were a number of people from the business community that came out, expressed interest and some concern with the requirements, and thankfully Sedco and the police department chose to be kind of out of the ordinance committee process, and what has come back to you is largely the same as the state law, though there are a couple of distinct differences, and I believe they are highlighted in the draft that you've seen. It does require some additional information relating to records management and date of birth. And it really, the difference that the police department talks about is the ability to prosecute locally as opposed to relying on state law and having to use the district attorney's office. They really expect that this will be helpful, and I'm pleased to have Councilor DeAndrea add further comment if I've missed something.
Sure, no, I think you really hit the basics of it. Part of what had happened during deliberations was that it was sent out to the police department and Sedco to work on, to see if there were a way in which the businesses could build a relationship with the police department as opposed to creating an ordinance. And perhaps we should open it up for discussion at this point.
No, we need to have a motion first. Could I have a motion?
I'll move approval of order number 10-79.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion. Councilor DeAndrea and then Councilor Roy.
I did not support this coming out of the ordinance committee for a couple of reasons. One was I had spoken to several business owners who had attended the meeting at the police station, and there was, it's my understanding that there was some confusion, that they also thought that what would be happening is that there would be discussion about and a way to build this relationship without having an ordinance. I think it's a better idea that we do that instead of imposing an ordinance. The second reason that I oppose this is that the ordinance is very similar, with the exception of two pieces. It's exact to the state statute. My feeling is, and I keep hearing this from business owners, is that we keep imposing more and more on them. And that's one of the big complaints that I have heard in working with Sedco on on the visioning and in just talking to business owners. We did talk about having this no fee. However, I'm not sure that we ever talked about the cost of local prosecution, how much that would be. And I just really believe that rather imposing a new ordinance on our already overwhelmed business owners in town, that we continue to use the state statute and follow the state statute. I think we haven't seen any problems to date, and I just believe that the state statute covers things and covers it well.
Councilor Roy.
I voted in favor of moving this out of committee for a couple of reasons. One is the point that Sergeant Grover stated, was that it allows them to prosecute at the local level, which they felt very important. And that's my second reason, is that this was brought forward and reviewed by the police department, and they felt strongly enough about having it in place that they set up a meeting with some of the business owners and worked through it. And I don't think there was major objection. There was lots of discussion, but not major objection on their part. But I just felt that the police department saw a need for it, whether or not had major issues with it at this point. They saw it as important to enforcement. I felt that it was important to move forward on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Councilor Holbrook and then Councilor Wood.
Just two quick things. I do support it. Unfortunately, I think it's one of those necessary evils. We're dealing with things these are items that people bring in for pawn. Unfortunately, there's always going to be those people in town or any town really, that are going to steal and want to make a quick buck. So it's important to be able to track and identify what's coming in and what's going. My one concern about this was, and completely open to discussion, is that it's being asked that there's a record maintained of date of birth and address and a description of the property. And my concern is that there's no length of time for how long those records are kept. And, this is personal information. I mean, I'm not sure, you keep most records 7 years. I don't know if maybe we want to think about adding something about that, maybe for a certain point, that the records are destroyed.
Yeah, I think we can have that for the second reading, definitely. Yeah. Councilor Wood?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this was presented to me on the ordinance committee as an agenda item that I really, it took me a while to warm up to it, if you will, because I, like Councilor DeAndrea, am sensitive to creating ordinances that are otherwise not needed, certainly any introduction of new fees. But it was demonstrated to me from Captain Grover's testimony that this was a vehicle that they believe, the police department believes, that they can use to effectively monitor who is engaged in this kind of activity in town, and more importantly, should there be a reason for a citation or issuance of any kind of infraction, it can be handled on a local level, because although this is virtually identical to the state's ordinance, moving it off to the state DA's office is, they're so backed up and so busy, it'll never see the light of day. So for that reason, I embrace and endorse it. And I do think that when we do look at our fees, that we do give some consideration certainly to, if we attach a fee to this kind of license, that we should be very, very sensitive to the fact that they are overburdened. And I think we took a hard look at fees in general. But if we've been okay with these folks doing business in town on the state's ordinance for years and not collecting a fee on them, this isn't about generating revenue, not at all, then we should be okay with virtually charging zero or just a little bit more than zero for a license to operate this kind of business in Scarborough.
Thank you. Anybody else? All those in favor? Opposed? Here.
Order
Next item.
10-80 is act to authorize the town manager to sign an interlocal agreement for the sea level adaptation working between the city of Biddeford, the town of Scarborough, the town of Old Orchard Beach, and the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission.
I'm going to hand this over to the town manager to, I know we've discussed it briefly before.
Council may recall, I hope you do, I believe in February, this past
Remember the
winter, I
name?
guess, the council entertained a presentation that dealt with some of the issues related to sea level rise and the associated impacts. The council gave staff the blessing, and in fact, we did move forward and have continued to work with folks in the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission and the Maine Geologic Survey. Thank you. And in fact, the council, I believe in May, appointed 2 members. We have a town resident as well as Jay Chaser, assistant town planner, who are appointed representatives and have participated in this process. That work over the summer and early fall has culminated in what's before you this evening, which is an interlocal agreement which really lays the foundation of the groundwork for the real work of this committee. And it intends to, in large part, produce an action plan. Those pieces will come back for consideration and vote by the member communities, as I understand them. But this work is ripe and ready to go. But for this interlocal, as I understand it, 2 of the 4 communities have already adopted, 3, I'm now told. So it looks as though we are the 4th. And with this evening, we have J.T. Lockman for the Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission and Peter Slavinsky. Peter's actually a town resident, but he's also with the Maine Geologic Survey as well. So if you're interested in any of the details, oh, and Lucy's here, I beg your pardon. She's one of your appointed members. So we are blessed with great technical support if you feel the need to get it.
I will entertain a motion on this. Approval?
Sorry.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. I have to say that, just as an aside, I love the acronym for this, which is SLUG, which I think is just great. Discussion? Councilor DeAndrea and then Councilor Wood.
I'm curious let's see, under I, funding, as a condition of entry into this agreement, each party municipality has made a financial contribution of a cash and in-kind match during fiscal year 2010 in fulfillment of the terms, blah, blah, blah. So I'm wondering what Scarborough's share of that is.
Our cash match, which was the same as the other participating communities, was $4,167. This number was discussed that evening, and based on the consensus of council, we did move forward. Those monies were allocated through the planning department. Beyond that, town staff, Jay Chase in particular, has provided some of the in-kind work as well, and perhaps so I believe at this point we've met all of those funding obligations. I'm not aware that this interlocal obligates the town to any further financial obligations at this point.
Yeah, I think this was a workshop we had. We had one on the bus transportation.
Yes.
And this one the same night, if you all remember. Did anyone else wish to speak? Councilor Wood?
Just real quick, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I remember the presentation.
JT.
Okay, and in the back is, hi, thank you. So how many more communities are you hoping will sign on? Are we done? I mean, are we full? We've got the group that we're looking for. So we're the last ones to make a commitment, potentially, depending on how the vote goes. How often will SLAG meet?
Well, we actually...
JT, could I ask you to just go to the podium so we can make sure we hear you?
Hi, J.T. Lockman from Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission. As you can see, it's taken a bit of time for all of the communities to get lined up and to act. We have quite a bit that we wanted to do by December 31st, so we're probably going to try and meet 2 or 3 times during October, November, and December. Of course, you have your holidays. Hopefully, we can meet perhaps 6 times or 7 times between now and the end of the year.
Now, is it your intention when you meet to meet in these different communities' public buildings, or are you going to have one place that you typically will meet at all times?
We have been meeting at the Saco train station, which seemed to be convenient for everybody, and relatively easy to get to and centrally located. And I'll be sending out, once you folks sign and we have the agreement, I'm going to try and set up dates. We'll probably meet on Wednesday or Thursday evenings, or we're going to try and set up 6 or 7 times between now and the end of the year.
And thank you, JT. And maybe through the chair, I could ask the manager that, after SLAG meets, Jay will probably report back as to what they've discussed and deliberated on, and maybe we could get updates, because
Right, absolutely.
I found the presentation fascinating, and for the record, I did volunteer to serve, but I didn't make the grade, so if,
You're not sloggy enough, huh?
but no, in all seriousness, Jay is quite a bit more capable than I am to serve the town's interests. So.
We'll be pleased to provide periodic updates, though really a lot of work's going to happen in a short time frame, but we'll do it as the council wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I support it, by the way.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. I'm now going to move to standing and special committee reports, and I will start with Council DeAndrea.
Thank you. This next ordinance committee meeting will be on October the 26th, Tuesday, 4:30, where we will be further discussing the issue of the restriction of the use of pesticides on town-owned property and the potential banning of tobacco products on Scarborough beaches.
Thank you. Council Wood,
Nothing right now, thank you.
you just said that CPIC was meeting.
Well, CPIC is meeting on
October
the...
22nd,
October
right?
22nd,
Right,
yes.
thank you.
And, and I'll say the rest for...
Okay. Council Roy.
WOW Advisory Board is meeting on the 26th. We did have another person put in an application to be on the advisory board. I don't know if that's gone to appointments as yet, but hopefully the next meeting we'll be able to post that name. The Ad hoc Higgins Beach Committee, we had our last meeting on the 30th of September. The report is in process right now. I think that Glenna Shabbat is just about done with it. It's going to be emailed out to the committee members for editing and any additions or suggestions. And you should have the report by the next, I think, the next council meeting, you should have the report of the Ad hoc Parking Committee, Higgins Beach Parking Committee.
Thank you.
And then Energy Committee met last on September 16th, and we spent that meeting talking about the Scarborough Energy Trigen model and looking at Scarborough, what it would consist of if Scarborough became an LLC. And so that was quite interesting. Paul Aubrey did that presentation. We've changed our meetings to monthly, and we've made assignments out to committee members. And so they're doing some individual work in groups of 2 people and then reporting back to the committee. We've also had MGEA, the Maine Green Energy Alliance. Debbie Atwood came to our meeting and also is going to, I've invited her to come to our next meeting so that she can outline the meetings that are going to be held with the public, and so that the committee is kept apprised of how that process is going. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Holbrook.
The only thing I have to report is that the Housing Alliance is going to be resuming its meetings. It'll be picking back up again. Their first meeting will be tomorrow night.
Very good. And Councilor Alquist.
Well said.
Thank you. For the for the Appointments Committee, I was wondering if I will act as the ex officio member. And could we plan a meeting before the next, so maybe 6:30?
Yeah,
Or
before the
6:45?
next meeting.
It sounds like we just have one appointment perhaps, so.
Okay.
Unless we have more. we'll plan it at 6:45, and if we need to meet at 6:30, I'll let you know, yes. I think that's the 19th, isn't our next
20th.
meeting? The 20th, okay. All right, and town manager report.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief. First and foremost, I want to update the council and the public regarding the FEMA flood map revisions that have been circulating, and actually, technically, we were in the official appeal period. Excuse me, the clock was ticking.
I'm going to fall off your
I
chair
am.
there.
The clock was ticking for the appeal period, though I'm not exactly sure as to the reasoning, but FEMA has actually pulled the flood maps, so the maps that have gained such interest and some concern by residents, we've surveyed and mapped very carefully the affected properties in Scarborough. It's something less than 300. I can't quote the exact number. I will note that not all properties affected are adversely affected. Some of them are actually coming out of the zone, or the flood zone designation is actually lesser than it was historically. At any rate, FEMA has proposed a bit of a different tact, and as opposed to moving down this path of issuing new flood maps, they've suggested something called Risk Mapping Assessment and Planning. The acronym is Risk Map. And we're still trying to sort through and understand what that is, but as I understand it, it's a more comprehensive and holistic approach that looks more at risk assessment and mitigations to those risks. Mapping is a component of that, but we see this as very good news. The town was successful in coordinating a meeting with our neighbors in Cape Elizabeth and South Portland last week. It was held in South Portland. Some of us had a sense that they were going to be pulling the maps shortly after that meeting, and in fact, some of the FEMA folks didn't want to have the meeting because of that. But we had sent out 1,000 invitations between the three communities, and it would be impossible for us to get the word out the day of the meeting. So we see that as very good news. We're going to continue to work closely with FEMA. They've looked for us to be a partner, if you will, in this effort. And on behalf of the town, I've given them a good faith statement, if you will, that we will participate in this project going forward. So as I learn more, we'll certainly bring those details to the council's attention. Certainly any resident that has questions about the details, and some folks were understandably concerned about the effect of the new maps, the planning department and the code office can provide that information. I received, as did I believe all members of council, a petition from some folks in Pine Point regarding a number of different traffic-related issues. I did have a chance to speak to the police department. We do have fairly recent traffic survey data. I'm trying to look at the date. But at any rate, we are going to update that. Officer Jack Antonio, who conducts these surveys, was out until this week, and will be working on an update to that survey. So with those results, we'll be able to give better recommendations as to the appropriate response to those number of traffic concerns expressed. Just as an aside, I'll mention, and this is one of the things that lands on my desk, and I'm not sure how to deal with it. In the Pine Point area, I've received 2 requests from residents, homeowners, to acquire certain portions of town property for a number of different reasons. I've met with each of them, but I'm not sure what to do with these requests at this point. I will prepare those in a memo so you can see the actual request, and I'll be interested in receiving input from council as to what the next steps are. The pier project has really consumed a lot of my time and attention since the council met last and approved the easements and the parking lease. Things have moved very quickly. We've gone to bid, received bids, and actually today I awarded a bid. I'm pleased to say that we had 6 bidders, which was wonderful to see in such a tight turnaround. And we came in, I won't say significantly, but within budget, which was a sigh of relief, so to speak. And so we are proceeding, and it looks at this point that we have everything in place to maintain our permits through the construction period, which was a big question mark. And I did receive a further assurance or comfort letter from the state that all the funding is in place. So with that, I had the confidence to sign the contract today. So I'm very pleased that we're actually moving ahead on that project. Some councilors may recall that former Councilor Babine was working through the American Legion for the relocation of two of the monuments that have historically been down in the Dunstan area next to the mobile station, right on the corner of Broad Turn Road and Route 1. Today, in fact, Public Works relocated those two smaller monuments. We've been working through the Historical Society, and I didn't get out to look at them. I was busy all day, and it was wet, but I understand they're located right down here in the bottom corner, kind of on the Sudsies end of Memorial Park, if you're interested in seeing them. I know they've been situated in such a way that we can add additional monuments in the future as needs dictate. So this is the first step, and we're certainly pleased to get that done. We do expect to have a bit of a dedication on Veterans Day, which I believe is November 10th. 11th.
Well, it may be the celebration is, no, it's always November 11th.
Okay. Well, we'll be sending out more information and invitations regarding that. Quick update on some paving projects, some town and some state work. The town has decided, I took recommendations from the Police Department and Public Works. There's a portion of Payne Road from essentially Flaherty's store up most of the hill. I think it's called Laurel Ridge. There's a road that comes off Payne Road. I don't recall the name of it, but that stretch has been historically bad. Drainage issues have undermined the road, and we've undertaken work to repair it. We were successful in getting DOT to replace the culvert at the low spot, which is a really important feature, and work will commence in the next 10 days or so. You'll see that work happen. I just want to mention, there's been a lot of work on the bridge deck on 114, close to the Sam's Club. If anyone's tried to get up 114 over the last few months, it's been difficult. I understand that work to be completed, and the final paving surface will be applied starting the 11th of this month. So I would just mention, be wary. I think it's going to be a difficult area to get through for a while. And lastly, on the paving front, we've all witnessed a lot of paving that the state's done on Route 1 from essentially Ann John's, continues all the way into Saco. But the stretch on the marsh, if you've driven at all, particularly on the outer lanes, both northbound and southbound, you might have noticed that there's a ripple of sorts. At first, I thought my vehicle was out of alignment, but I drove my wife's car, and it was the same experience. And sure enough, there was a problem with that paving job. Dick Collins from Public Works has been involved with the project and assures us that the contractor's been made aware of the problem and will be correcting it in the spring. The bad news, we'll have to live with it through the winter. So if you've noticed it, it will be fixed. Also, I just want to mention, we received a dividend for our workers' compensation insurance, and I wish I could put my hands on it. There we go, $10,234, and this is based on good experience. We've exceeded their expectations, so we pay premiums up front, and based on loss experience and loss prevention programs, we've actually saved some money. So it's certainly good news. And lastly, I just want to advise the council, I'll send out more particular information, but Dan Bacon and myself have been very heavily involved in a study it's called the Gorham East-West Corridor Study Commission. And this is a group that's looking at regional traffic and congestion problems. And a lot of it has to do with the bypass that was created in Gorham, which serves that purpose very well. Gorham Village is vastly improved, though anyone who's tried to work through the area of North Scarborough, morning rush or evening rush, the so-called crossover where 22 and 114 and Running Hill, that area can be virtually impossible and virtual gridlock. So this process is really unique in that it marries both land use planning and transportation planning, and it's refreshing that you take a different perspective at looking at transportation investments. We're now to the point of this process that we want to start bringing in elected officials into understanding what we've been doing for the last year. And I've made arrangements to actually have a meeting here on October 21st. It's a Thursday night. The good news is school board meets at 7 o'clock. So the meeting is to start at 5 o'clock. And with that time limit, we know we'll be out soon and quickly. There will be a light supper provided. And I really encourage you, pardon me?
So that was the 21st, sorry?
21st, October 21. I believe that's a Thursday night. and school board does meet at 7, so we'll have to get out in an hour and a half. That should give us all comfort that we'll not be here all night. But I really encourage you to come. There's been some exciting planning done, and Scarborough stands to be impacted the most in many respects, because most of the improvements they're considering, roadway and otherwise, exist almost entirely in Scarborough. That's where most of the problem exists. So I'll send more information, but I want to get that out. And the final word, we did receive notice from the Southern Maine Agency on Aging that they are changing their Meals on Wheels program slightly due to some budget constraints. I understand, though recipients will still receive 5 meals a week, at least one, if not two of those, will be a cold, frozen meal. And I understand they've changed their whole method of delivering meals. Actually, 70% of recipients prefer those anyways, is what I understand. But I just want to make sure that people knew that due to some budget challenges, they're changing that program, and that's a vitally important program for a lot of seniors in this community.
Right.
The downside will be they won't see a smiling face some days, and that might be the most important piece of it all, frankly.
Right.
So I thank you for your attention, and I'm certainly available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the manager? Council Holbrook?
Thinking of roads, actually, just, somebody happened to ask me the other day, if there's the road that's not the town's, it's owned by the state, would they contact about a complaint or just about getting some repairs done?
Well, there's a Region 1, local regional transportation office here in town, but it's probably best they call Public Works, and we can give them,
Public Works directly? Okay.
and we'll give them specific names and numbers.
Okay, with that, we're going to have council member comments.
I had a question for the manager.
Oh, okay.
Maine Municipal Convention, is that next week?
Yes, it is. It's
you-
October 12th, 13th, and 13th.
Is somebody going from the council to that? Or?
I'm not aware that any member of council, I'll be attending on the 13th.
Yeah, I was planning on going. I was going to be in the area, so I stopped by. I was wondering if there's anybody else who's going to.
Well, if you're going those 2 nights, I guess that wouldn't be when we could have our special meeting. So we'd need to plan around that.
I'm certainly not.
Oh, no,
I'm not going for the evening.
daytime, but
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Council member comments, I'll start with you, Councilor Alquist.
I'm all set.
Okay, Councilor Holbrook.
I just wanted, as a little friendly reminder, hunting season's upon us, and as you pull out your orange, like I did, you might want to make sure it's still a nice, bright, sunshiny orange color, and it hasn't been washed a million times, and it's more of a peach. And that's it for me.
Okay, Councilor Roy. Councilor Wood.
Just real quick, we heard from Ms. Boxer tonight about these smart meters, and I started reading a little bit of it, and it's quite fascinating, really, this technology, this wireless technology, but I think what's even more fascinating is the issues that have been brought to light, and I think that the ordinance committee is in a position to potentially put aside smoking ban on the beaches and fertilizing of town property to consider this at its next meeting, because if it's true that we could potentially be subjected to the installation of these as soon as 30 days from now, then we might want to see if we can do any homework to say that we did and consider it. So,
And it might be that could, correct, yeah.
so that's all. So I think that might be a better use of our time. Not the other things are very important too, but I think the time of the year, it seems to me that we can get that good work done also without any hardship to the citizens. But that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I just speak to that issue?
Yeah.
I received all the same materials from Ms. Boxer as well. I did have a brief conversation with the town attorney, just wondering what could our local response be if the council wished to do something. He quite clearly advised that that is beyond our jurisdiction, that is the domain of the PUC, and I think the speaker acknowledged as much tonight. There seemed to be a suggestion from the podium that nevertheless we could do something. I need to caution you, I'm not sure what you can do about it.
Well, I don't either. So it seems like you know more than I do as far as what can and can't be done, so I would be pleased to have that same information and opinion from the town legal counsel.
Fine.
I think you could probably always do a resolution of some sort
Sure.
if we decided this was not in our best interest.
Yeah. And I'm
But it
not
would-
saying that we might not get there, but I just would like to deliberate about it for an hour or two.
Counsel DeAndrea.
Thank you. Farmers Market is still going on through the month of October. I urge you to get out every Sunday morning while you still can. There's been some really great produce from our local farmers this year. It's been wonderful. A much better year for agriculture than last year, that's for sure. And also, as always, there are free gun locks for Scarborough residents at the Scarborough Police Station, which is open 24 hours a day. Thank you.
And with that, we are now going to move our final item.
Order number 10-81 is act on the request for an executive session pursuant to Title I of the Maine Revised Statutes, subsection 4056C, regarding a real estate matter, and also Title I, Maine Revised Statute 4056A, relating to a personnel matter, or matters.
Could I have a motion, please?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Yeah, you want both days? Tomorrow.
You need all of that, Mike?
Take that check right to the bank.